Do you have 5 minutes? Actually, a little less than 5 minutes. Have you noticed how much in the last 15 or 16 months our vocabulary has changed? When you watch a child growing up, you can see their vocabulary growing by day to day. But once we move into adulthood, for the most part, the language that we use in our vocabulary remains rather static. Oh, it'll grow by a word here and there, but it remains rather static most of our lives. Oh, this last year there's been so much change. Uh, First of all, we've heard of this thing called social distancing. Never heard that term before my entire life until the COVID pandemic came along. But no, we need to social distance from one another. Hey, are you wearing your mask? What color is your mask? What's your mask look like? Does your mask match your clothes that you're wearing? And if you talked about a mask 2 years ago and you thought about wearing a mask into a store, they would be calling the sheriff's department wondering if you were going to rob the place. The fact is now, it's just part of our common everyday language. And then the biggest one of all. Have you gotten your shot? You gotten your shot? Good heavens. That's almost like asking if your dog has got its shots. Did it get its shot? Yeah. Hey, by the way, did it get its distemper shot? I wonder if they'll ever come up with a distemper vaccine for human beings. That could be a real treat. But the reality is, we've come up with this vocabulary that has just been rife as a result of COVID. And even as we're starting to come out of it, that vocabulary is just a part of our lives now. What is the vocabulary of a Christian? And how would we be able to tell that somebody is a Christian? Listen to this wisdom from Proverbs 13. Those who control their tongue will have a long life. Opening your mouth can ruin everything. Listen to these words from Ephesians 4:29. Don't use foul or abusive language. Let everything you say be good and helpful, so that your words will be an encouragement to those who hear them. When we first look at Proverbs, what we notice in Proverbs is it talks about if you're able to control your tongue, you'll have a long life. On the other side of the fence, if you let that tongue get ahead of yourself, all kinds of bad things can happen. And so the scripture, this wonderful Jewish wisdom literature that dates back thousands and thousands of years, is still as pertinent today as it ever was. To be able to know when to keep our mouth shut, or to know at least how to control our tongue. But did you catch the words from Ephesians? Basically what Paul is saying to us is, use language that builds one another up, that encourages one another. So many of us have developed this new language as a result of COVID. And that's okay, that's great. It's helped us to cope and get through what has happened. But for those of us of the faith, we are called to have a language that truly builds one another up, to have a vocabulary that builds up others. When we get up in the morning, does our language build one another up? When we stub our toe walking out of the bedroom, does our language build one another up? When we are standing in line at Walmart or at a grocery store, does our language build up those around us? Because people are listening. When we have spent 45 minutes waiting on a telephone to get a hold of a live human being, does our language build one another up? We can choose to use our vocabulary however we like. But as Christians, we are called to use it to build one another up. We have developed a magnificent new vocabulary as a result of COVID. May you and I develop a magnificent vocabulary as Christians, but one that works to build others up and never to tear them down. Oh, by the way, while we're at it, did you get your shot? Part of our new vocabulary. The peace of God be with you. Bless you and have a magnificent week.